When it was first introduced a staggering 27 years ago, Mortal Kombat quickly acquired the reputation of that fighting game where you rip people's heads off. Sure, it's still that, but things have changed since then, with MK9 and MKX bringing the quality of gameplay up to match the gore. That upward trend continues with Mortal Kombat 11, which is NetherRealm's best game yet. This is one of the most fully featured fighting games you can buy, with single and multiplayer modes that will last both casual and hardcore audiences a long, long time.
What did you do, Johnny?
Just what you asked.
Not what I meant by the split.
Mortal Kombat 11 retains all of the unique mechanics that give this 2D fighting series its identity. A dedicated block button, powerful uppercuts for every character, the dialogue combo system, and of course, the gloriously gratuitous, over-the-top, and often comedic violence of its notorious fatality finishing moves.
Fatality.
This time, surrounding all of that are new fighting systems that feel unlike anything the series has ever seen. Mortal Kombat 11 is much better for being willing to take these bold steps to keep things fresh. It's a much slower game this time around, but that's not a bad thing by any measure. There's no run button, walk speeds have been slowed across the board, and the result is a more tactical take on Mortal Kombat that rewards smart play. There's a much more substantial focus on careful positioning and whiff punishing as opposed to all-out rushdown. In another dramatic and inspired departure from previous games, Mortal Kombat 11 completely changes up how meter management works by splitting it in two. The defensive meter is primarily for special wake-up options, environmental interactables, and a combo-breaking move called a breakaway. The offensive meter is used for amplifying special moves to make them safe on block, increase their damage, open up combo opportunities, or other options. The best thing about the split though is that Mortal Kombat 11's version of the X-Ray super move, Fatal Blows, are no longer tied to meter. Instead, these extremely fast and lethal attacks are available when your character is at 30% health or lower. Because of this, the threat of a fatal blow is dire near the end of a round, making the closing moments feel as extraordinarily tense as an old Western standoff. The best new addition to the actual fighting of Mortal Kombat, though, are crushing blows, which are critical hits on certain moves that are triggered by specific conditions. For instance, uppercuts typically can't be used as combo starters, but if the uppercut hits as a counter, it will trigger a crushing blow that launches your victim and opens them up to substantial follow-up juggles without costing any meter. This adds yet another level of depth to each character and rewards a deep mastery of their moveset. It's also a limited resource because you can only use each move's crushing blow once per match. NetherRealm has always rocked at delivering story modes that are essentially the video game equivalent of absurd popcorn movies, and Mortal Kombat 11 is no exception to that rule. Its 4 to 6 hours are big, ridiculous, bombastic, and well acted. Well, mostly.
Cut this shit! You'll kill us whether we fight or not!
But most importantly, it gives each character some time in the spotlight, many of whom have been especially deserving of it. The story picks up right where MKX left off and quickly introduces an all-powerful being named Kronika, who sets the plot down a path of another impending timeline reset due to Raiden's upsetting of the balance of good and evil with his decapitation of the Elder God Shinnok. This all sets up the fun scenario of a merging of past and present. As a result, we get some really great moments where characters from the present are confronted by their past selves. The Johnny Cages in particular steal the show with their witty banter and the overall juxtapositioning of their two wildly different selves.
They shot our face, Johnny! They shot our face!
A sense of individuality is a key part of MK11, and to that end, the amount of customizable options for every character is utterly staggering. Each of the 20 characters on the starting roster has at least 60 skins, 90 pieces of customizable gear, and a selection of 10 techniques to add on to their core set of abilities. Yeah, most of those skins are simply recolors, but there are a ton of ways to make your fighter distinct online. The problem is how you get access to them, which is generally not a great time. First, there's the crypt, which traditionally has had static locations for its treasures, but this time all the loot is randomized, making it essentially an explorable dungeon of loot boxes and occasional jump scares.
How much time do you need?
And that's a disappointment. Then there's the Towers of Time, which is a collection of challenge towers, and it's full of miserable modifiers that feel designed to make you hunt for fight-skipping tokens. Imagine trying to win a fight against an opponent who starts with twice your health, while also having to deal with a constant torrent of projectiles and assist characters. Or an opponent who will shock you for standing too close to them for more than a second or two. It's a challenge, yes, but one that's more frustrating than fun. You're able to use various consumables to give yourself a fighting chance, and they do make otherwise impossible fights surmountable, but having to resort to tactics like projectile or consumable spamming is frustrating to say the least. Character-specific towers are barely any better, since their grind is locked behind another grind of completing arbitrary tasks with that character. Fortunately, not all towers are bad. New ones pop up every few hours, and you're always free to jump to a different one if the one you're playing sucks.
Round 1. Fight!
It's the superb online mode that's truly going to keep me coming back months from now. To start with the fundamentals, Mortal Kombat 11 has some of the best netcode I've ever experienced in a fighting game. Even matches against 2-bar connections on Wi-Fi have very little, if any, noticeable lag. All the expected options are here. You can play ranked matches, casual matches, or King of the Hill, but you can also play weird AI matches where you pit a team of your own customized characters against someone else's and watch them fight it out. Ranked play limits you to only 2 pre-made variations, which is a bit of a bummer, but you're able to freely use your customized characters in the casual playlist.
Yippee-ki-yay, right? Follow my lead.
It's a rare fighting game that hits just about every note as strongly as Mortal Kombat 11 does. Everything from its methodical and deep combat, to its fantastically absurd story mode, and its rock-solid netcode, right down to its extraordinarily comprehensive tutorial, is absolutely exceptional. It's only when you get into its drawn-out progression that it trips up. The keys to unlocking Mortal Kombat 11's rich vault of customization options are locked behind the frustratingly gimmicky and grindy barriers of the Crypt and Towers of Time. This series continues to prove that there's real fighting depth beyond its notoriously gory fatalities, and this one in particular stands out as a spine-ripping good time.
Fatality. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory.
For more on Mortal Kombat 11, check out the first minutes of the story mode, along with a breakdown of Mortal Kombat's entire story told in just 7 minutes. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.